Hi, and welcome to the Offcut Podcast, where Olof and I talk about craft businesses, social media, and making a living from your craft. Today, we have a chat with Leon Ades, a well-known designer and carpenter from Sao Paulo, Brazil. We talk about his story, process, and what it's like to scale a woodworking business. Leon is also part of our coaching community. If you're interested in the course and community we offer, please follow our Instagram at oddformula. Please also check out Leon's Instagram and website. All the relevant links will be in the description below. Okay, thanks, and enjoy this episode.
Can you tell us a little bit about your business? Like, how many employees do you have right now? And
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So at the moment, well, I have one assistant which has been working with me for the past 3 years, like full time. And then when I need, I bring more people, you know. So at the moment it's me and me plus 4. But after we finish this bunch of chairs we're making, it's gonna be just me plus 1 or 2. But I'm actually planning to get back to work just by myself for a while. I'm really feeling this need to be, you know, a bit more quiet in the shop and focus more on my work and not having to deal with a lot of people. So it's a bit tricky because when I have a lot of work to do, I definitely need more people to help. But I'm thinking about some alternatives. So maybe finding a bigger workshop to produce only the chairs, you know, because they always come in a big quantity. And I need to hire people to work on these commissions. So I actually spend a lot of money. So maybe if I find someone else to make them, you know, from the beginning to the end of the project, it's probably worth it. Because I don't want to become a factory. I don't want to have a lot of people working with me, and I want to have time to create new stuff and to work on my craft and to be connected with the process and not just being like dealing with the business and, you know, employees. And so I feel like I'm in a moment of transition, you know.
So do you mean that you're going to outsource the shares, or do you mean like you set off like a half of workshop is other doing the chairs and you do your own stuff in the other part? Or
Yeah, I mean, no, I would like to outsource the chairs, but it's not this problem is not solved yet, you know. So I've just started to look for a bigger workshop that could do it without losing quality, you know. But we still have to make some tests, some prototypes. Maybe it's gonna take a while, a few months, until we get to a good result. But I feel like it could be a good alternative because I don't want to deny this kind of commissions that comes to me, you know, like 20 chairs, 30 chairs, 10 chairs. But it's a lot to make just by myself, and I don't love having like a lot of people working with me in my shop. And I feel like you probably really understand what I'm talking about. Maybe when we think only on the business side, maybe it would be better to produce everything inside my shop. But I'm also thinking about like long term and the quality of life I want and the quality of work I want to do and having more free time to create new stuff, to produce content, which is something I've been really struggling to put into my routine, you know. So, but I also don't want to like lose I don't want to stop selling, you know.
yeah. Yeah. And like a few months ago when you joined my program, just the first call, I think you mentioned that you were thinking about or dreaming about moving out to the countryside and just create your own pieces and stuff. So maybe you can have your shop in Sao Paulo, or where is it now?
Yeah, in São
and
Paulo.
some employing theirs. Yeah, and then you can have your at-home workshop where you just create the stuff you want, and you can hire someone to handle the big workshop for you.
Yeah, it could also be an option. It's something that, like, moving from the city, it's something that I think a lot, and I guess I'm like working to get there as soon as possible. So all these things like outsourcing or having more people working or not, I'm trying, different ways of getting to the point that I really want to, which is this more romantic view of woodworking and living from the craft, and yeah, but it's not easy.
Yeah, I know. How long have you been doing this for?
So next week it's gonna be 10 years since I started woodworking.
Wow.
Like my first step, because before that I didn't know how to use, I don't know, a screwdriver or make a hole or anything. But my first contact with woodworking was exactly 10 years ago in New Zealand. I went to I went to a workshop there. It was like a 3 month course called Beginners Intensive. And I was very lucky because it was an amazing program. I had some really good teachers, and I've learned really a lot in such a short time. So after that, like, everything changed in my life. I started studying product design in the university, which is my graduation, and I started working with wood, renting a bench in other people's shop for a while, doing my first projects. And after a few years, I rented my first place, built my first workshop, and never stopped since then.
I'm curious, did you go on the course and then think, okay, this is what I want to do as a career? And then, if so, how did you go about getting your work out there and getting your first clients?
Yeah, like, I think that when the day I arrived in the day I entered the workshop, the woodworking program in New Zealand, I knew that was it. I really felt a connection with that, and I felt like that was my future. And it was a time of my life that I was a bit lost, very young. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I already had started to graduation in architecture, but I wasn't really enjoying it. So I spent 1 year abroad, traveling a bit and working with different things. And then when I got there, I knew that was it. Then when I came back to Brazil, I just focused on making it work. And so I changed to the product design graduation, and I started, looking on ways to make it possible, and like asking everyone I could, and going to visit every workshop I could, and researching on internet. And after a few months, came this opportunity to rent a bench in a workshop came, and I embraced it. And I would go there like every day after classes, after from the uni, and started doing little stuff and selling to parents and friends, and um, just work it like this.
Nice. You're a pretty well-known designer and maker in Brazil. What's the main, or like the most important things you have done to become so well-known and renowned?
So one thing I think that really helped me, it's that I started pretty young in this market, this business, and many people do this, like they start to be a woodworker or a designer after they already had like 10 years, 20 years working in another trade. And so because I started so young, I think it really helped me to, to just do it with a lot of, I was like really focused on making it happen. And on the first maybe 2 years, I wasn't really worried about making money because I was young. I was still living with my parents and didn't have a lot of responsibilities. And then I was just focused on like being known and having people um, like wanting to buy my products. And I attended some important design fairs in Brazil when in a time that I wasn't really I didn't think I was really prepared. I wasn't ready to attend those fairs, but the first time they invited me, so I felt like I couldn't refuse it, and I feel like a lot of people are really insecure when they're starting, and I feel like I was never insecure. So I just trusted my work and trusted the process, and I didn't really lose any time. And also, I was always willing to do like bigger projects. So like my first real commission was a big commissions of 10 chairs, the same chairs I'm making at the moment. Well, I made 10 of them when I opened my first workshop, my first shop in 2018. And so my first real commission was 10 shares straight away, just working by myself on a recently opened workshop. I didn't have many equipment, just the basic. And I don't know, I wasn't really afraid, to embrace it and to make it. So yeah, I think it's just my style.
Nice, inspiring.
Yeah, I think that's super important because I think a lot of people, especially with commissions, there's like that feeling of like, what if I mess it up? And you've just got to trust in your ability and skills, but also trust in your ability to problem solve if something does go wrong. Because I find that is such a big part of our craft is you can't plan out everything and you're never going to be 100% ready to take on certain projects. So you've got to have some form of ability or trust in your ability to fix it if it goes wrong.
Yeah. I agree with you. And for example, there's this project that I made that it's like a whole house that I built with two other guys. I think all of have seen it. I don't know if Phil is familiar with this project, but we've built a house like up in the northern part of Brazil, in the middle of the nature, in the middle of the forest, like 100% made of wood, like the structure all made with traditional joineries, like the flooring, the walls, the ceiling, the furniture. And to be honest, we had no idea how to make it, but we had this opportunity and it was like a dream coming to reality, and I couldn't refuse it. Which woodworker doesn't think about building a house all made of wood? And like people always asked me if we had any experience before that, but we didn't. I just used my skills that I had to make, for example, chairs and table, but on a bigger scale.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we trusted the process, and everything worked out pretty well. And I think that's how we really learn, and gain confidence.
Is it Casa Piaba?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I found it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Can you walk us through your creative process? How you come up with new furniture and...
Okay,
designs?
so I guess there's two different paths that I usually go. One is like creating from scratch without deadlines, without clients, without anything, which is trickier, I guess, but it's also when the best ideas come. And the other one, it's when I have a customer, I have a project, and I have to like I already have some like some measurements or some references and stuff like this to follow. So it's definitely easier, because it's not so open. And many of my products they came from a commission that I designed for a customer, and I liked it, and then I just started selling again and again. But in the other hand, I think that the best ideas come when I'm more free and I don't have, a deadline. I don't have any references to follow, anything like this. But it's pretty much, sitting on the chair and drawing and on the computer and making the 3D and making some sketches by hand and going to the workshop and seeing the proportions in real life and experimenting with wood. And sometimes it's a new technique that I want to try. For example, when I wanted to try like steam banding or bent lamination, or sometimes I have a special piece of wood that I wanna find a use to it, a beautiful wood or something like this. So yeah, it's pretty. I would say it's pretty simple, but I do need like a lot of hours, a lot of days, sometimes weeks, to just sit on the chair and really try different stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely a long process.
Yeah.
The chair you went with to Milan, was that commission piece or was that just your own design from the beginning?
Yeah, I know that was my own design. It was actually uh, a design that I started like a few years ago, and um, I didn't brought it to reality. Was just saved in my computer, and I didn't have the time to actually um, produce it. And then after like 2 or 3 years, I had to make like new furniture for this fair I was going to attend here in Brazil, like I guess 3 years ago. And then I remembered, oh, I have this lawn chair in this drawing that I started and I've never finished it. And then I just brought it back to life, and it turned out actually much better than the original one.
Nice.
And
yeah, I love that chair. It's so beautiful.
Thanks.
It's so nice.
So do you you say it takes you quite a while to design your pieces. Do you structure your design time, or do you do it in between projects, or are you constantly working on designs? How do you fit designing into your life?
To be honest, I don't. I don't fit it, which is something I'm trying to adjust, because I'm always busy in the production, and dealing with deadlines and dealing with customers and dealing with the people who are working with me at the moment. I'm not finding enough time to just, sit and let the creativity flow. So it's something that has been bothering me, because I feel like I need to do it, as a designer, as a woodworker, and also as a human being. I think it's good for me. Um, so it's something I'm trying to adjust so I can, at least once a week sit up for a few hours and try new stuff, so I can always keep creating new products, new furniture, new ideas.
What inspires you when you create furniture?
Um, that's It's a tricky question. I think it really depends on the project. Sometimes it's something that just popped in my mind, very spontaneous. Sometimes it's, I don't know, like there is a lamp and how do you say, like a chess. So there is this chair that I designed that it's like inspired in the desert, the curves of the desert from I thought about it when I was on a trip in the Middle East, and all the sand dunes and everything inspired me. But sometimes it's something more straightforward, just a reference that I saw and inspired me to create something else, or or I don't know, like I said, like a technique or a special wood that I want to use, that they help me guiding this process, I guess. So it's not something that it's always the same, I guess. And it's also, as I was telling you before, sometimes it's a furniture that I'm making for a customer, so I already have some guidelines to follow, which sometimes it helps a lot, but it also makes the design a bit more square, I guess.
Yeah. Working to constraints can be helpful, but also sometimes you just got to get your head around the fact that you're actually making a piece for someone else rather than for yourself. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think like it's also, I don't think it's also only bad, because like as a woodworker, we're making furniture for someone else, like always, pretty much, unless it's something you're going to make for your own house, which usually is not the case. So I think it's kind of an ability we have to develop, so to do something that to create something that makes sense for us as designers, as woodworkers, but also like always keeping in mind that it's someone else that it's gonna use, and this person has their own preferences and tastes. So it's really about finding the balance. Something that I don't do, it's like drawing something that I don't like. It doesn't have like anything related to my own personal design, and you have just to find the balance.
Yeah. And it's good to be in that position that you can say no to those kind of job that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think it's pretty important to learn how to say no, and stick to the plan.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because especially if your plan is to have your own brand, or it's your own personal brand, then the furniture you make has to fit with that story. But if your plan is to not be necessarily related to your work or have your name attached to the work, then I guess people can take on more. They don't have to think too much about it tying in with your own design language.
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I always I actually thought about one of the first questions you made me, like how did I become well known in Brazil? And I think that one thing I always did was related to what we are talking right now. It's just doing, my own personal outdoor work. Not doing. I never did something that another person drew, or anything like this. I was never only a woodworker. I was always the designer and the woodworker. So
Nice.
that's something that I think it really, really helped me.
Yeah, it
Because
definitely shines through when you're looking at the pieces you made. It's all Leon.
Because I didn't spend any time, doing something else. So like this 10 years of woodworking and designer was 100% focused on my work, and not other people's work.
Where do you want to go? What's like a dream scenario in 1 or 2 years?
Well, I don't know if exactly in 1 or 2 years, but what I really dream of, having it's really moving from the big city and having my workshop in a um, more open space, outside of the city, not in the middle of the buildings, and having more space, more fresh air coming to my shop, and finding this balance between work and personal life. And also, yeah, I have this romantic view of woodworking. I still have, even after many years. And sometimes I feel like I get a bit disconnected from that view, but I always try to remember, this dream shop, uh, like in the middle of the nature or something like this. And it's really about finding, this balance between, mm, like having a successful business, making money, and also enjoying the work, so it doesn't become
Hmm.
only like a regular job, which is
Yeah.
definitely not the goal. If it
Hmm.
was the goal, just having a normal business, I would do anything else but woodworking.
Yeah.
It would be so much easier. So,
Yeah.
like, I'm a woodworker. I have my furniture brand because I just enjoy doing it. I enjoy
How
woodworking.
many?
It uh,
Yeah. How many hours a week do you work approximately?
uh, I like 9 to 6 every day, but from Monday
Hmm.
to Friday, like 8 hours per day. But it's not about the amount of time. I don't feel like I work more hours than the regular person, but it's more about what I'm doing, during these hours, and the intensity um, of the work, and the stress level, and pretty much, what my tasks are. So really, my dream is to just have more, a bit more freedom inside the workshop. I don't want to work less. That's not the point.
Yeah.
I just
You,
want to focus more on what makes more sense.
hmm.
And so, for example, making these huge commissions of chairs and etc. Maybe it made sense a while ago, but now at the moment it's not really making a lot of sense. So maybe outsourcing only the chairs would free a lot of time, so I can focus on, you know, doing new stuff, creating new stuff, producing, creating more content. I don't know, sharpening my chisels better. Having more time to sharpen my tools,
Yeah.
to I don't know, experiencing more inside the shop, new techniques and stuff like this.
It's
Yes.
interesting that you say sharp tools. That's a pretty good indication of how stressed I am, how dull my tools are. If I'm stressed
Exactly.
out, my chisels are pretty dull. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
Exactly.
want to enjoy the actual process more than just having, because if you've got so much to do that you just have to go through the process and you don't have time to think, you're completely stressed, you just bang bang bang, next thing, but you want to have time
Exactly.
to just enjoy that whole process a bit more, have some thinking space.
Exactly. That's the point. And I think that on my first few years, having my own shop was pretty much like this. I enjoyed the process a lot more. It's not that I don't enjoy it anymore, but I'm really in a phase of transition. So my brand, my business is getting bigger. So, but I still have a small structure. So I'm in this place of, I don't know if like many people would think would think that the best solution was to grow bigger. Having a lot of people working with me, maybe moving to a even bigger workshop. My workshop and my new workshop is pretty big, but
How
some
big is it?
people, um, it's like 300 square feet.
Hmm. Yeah, it's
No,
pretty big.
sorry, square meters.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not. I mean, I have a showroom, I have there, like, only the workshop with machines and stuff. It's around 120 square meters, so it's big, but it's not huge. But there's also like an office. There is this showroom. There is like a deposit. There's other spaces, other rooms. But I really don't want to grow bigger in the sense of like having a bigger business and having a lot of people working with me. I want to actually adapt, so I can still be that woodworker, that has a dream workshop, and can take care of their tools and can be connected to the wood. And when I was in New Zealand, like 10 years ago, when I was starting all this woodworking thing, I went to the workshop of a guy called David Haig. He makes a beautiful rocking chair. He's pretty well known, but he's very low profile. He's much older, so. But I never forgot about this workshop. It was in front of the sea, like it was, I think, behind his house, and he was selling this. He made one of the most famous rocking chairs of in recent history, I would say, and he was selling like all over the world for a very, very high price. And he was there working by himself in front of the sea in a small workshop, one chair at a time.
Yeah.
So sometimes I feel like I'm dreaming about something that it's not possible. But then I remember this guy and other guys that I've met along the way, like Michael Fortune. I don't know if you know, also really good woodworker from the same generation. I went to a course with him here. He's a Canadian woodworker, and he used to write for Fine Woodworking a lot. There's a lot of videos about him, and on YouTube. He's also a big inspiration about the kind of woodworker I want to be. And when I think about this, I feel like it's 100% possible. So it's the main issue is adjusting the prices, so I can make less furniture.
Yeah.
And having more time to produce each of the pieces.
Yeah. So you want to lean into like the exclusivity of your work. So
exactly.
Making one-off pieces where you can charge a whole lot more.
Exactly. And I definitely agree. It's so good to just see what's possible, because if you're stuck in your own workshop, you're maybe not aware that it's possible and it just feels impossible. But if you have seen those guys that have made it, it's so good to just have kind of a faith or like a goal to go towards. It's so good. Yeah.
I also feel like the steps before you get there are always necessary. So like the fact that you're going through this transition now where you're thinking, actually, do I want to scale up or do I want to move towards this goal? It's sort of necessary for you to try all these things out to know what you actually want to do. I know from my own experience that I had to do a lot of, I sold a lot of like repeatable products for me to realize, okay, I'm ready to go to the next level where I want to make more unique pieces and I sell them for more.
Exactly. Yeah, I think like all the process is, it's like everything is important throughout this process, So I don't regret anything. I don't think I should have done something different. It's just my own process. I think it's going pretty well. I have my my ups and my ups and downs, highs and lows. But when I think about like this 10-year gap since I started, I think it's always getting better. It's always growing, and I'm pretty happy and proud. You
should be
with what I have done until now. but I'm still far from where I want to be, So I don't know. Many people could be. I think that it's also something related to to a more personal level. I'm talking about, but I'm always looking for, the next and the next step, and how to get better, and how to make things in a better way, and how to be more happy. I can't really separate work and life, because for me, and I think that for most of us, it's the same thing. It's not a normal business. Woodworking is it's almost like a lifestyle. You
For
can't
sure.
separate 100%. Work and life. You have to walk side to side.
Reminds me of when I joked with my girlfriend the other day and said that I might go back and be a plumber, and she just looked at me like, "No, no, don't do it. You're
Yeah.
such a big part of my personality." Yeah, it's hard to. My well-being is so related to how it goes in the workshop. Just like this morning, I was working on a table and I was drilling some joinery up, and it was a lot of angles and round stuff, and it was just hard to measure. And I was so proud. I was like, I didn't think it would go so well. So my morning was so good. I was like dancing around in the workshop, being so happy.
Yes.
And if I would fail, it's the opposite. I would be sad,
I often find when I mess something up, or I hit a point where I'm just like, oh, I need to rethink this, I cannot stop thinking about it until I've solved it. And my mood won't improve until I've solved it. So I can like stop work at like 5 or 6, but then my partner just says to me, "You're just not in the room." Like, she can be talking at me, but I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's not like other jobs that you just close the computer and go back home, and you don't have to think about it. Of course, any person who has his own business, it's always going to be thinking about it. It's always going to be thinking about it when they go back home or on weekends. So that's why I just gave up about dividing 100%. My personal life. Like, a lot of people say, oh, you have to, you have your brand, and because the brand is also my name.
Yeah.
So there's the brand Leon, and there's also the person. But no, it's the same. I can't separate. It's just one thing. And that's.
Do you feel like it's always been disconnected, or do you feel like the older you get and the more you do it, the more separated you can do it? Or because for me, when I started out, I was super connected to my personal life, but it feels like I'm slowly starting to kind of separate them, and I can feel good even if it's going bad in the workshop. How do you guys?
Well, I don't know. I think, to me, it still affects me more, but I was also thinking in a way like, my brand doesn't cannot represent something that it's not me, So especially when we're talking about social media and exposing ourselves to the world, it doesn't make sense to me, like, to my brand. My brand represents one thing that I'm not, that doesn't make sense to me. So there is also this part, that I'm thinking about. But also, I think we have to learn how to do not how not to stress out too much when something goes wrong in the shop. But I think that nowadays I'm also more. I can also be more relaxed, but it really depends on what I'm doing. I'm not sure if I have an answer for that.
Yeah, I think for one's well-being, it's good to be able to separate it, but it's easier said than done. It's good that it's not a well-being podcast.
Yeah, we wouldn't be very good at that.
Too many already.
I feel like it's an endless question that I ask myself: is how do you get a good work-life balance? And I'm coming to the conclusion that it will never be perfectly balanced, and there's always some form of like sacrifice in the work-life balance that you have to take in order to get to where you want. Is there any woodworkers or makers that you know of that you'd like to shout out or mention?
So yeah, these guys that I mentioned, like they probably never gonna listen, but some people that really inspired me, and they don't even really know how much. Is this guy like David Haig because of his workshop and his work, and it's pretty much like a dream scenario that it's not the reality anymore. Maybe it's not as perfect as it was in my mind, but it really inspires me, and I want to keep it like this. And also this other woodworker, Michael Fortune, which is like the greatest craftsman I've ever met. Really inspired me when I met him like 3 years ago, I think 4 years ago here in Brazil. He came to this program, and I don't know, let me think. There is lots of people that I think influenced me for good, here in Brazil or in other countries, even you guys, and with all the program we've been making and the course and everything. And it
was great talking to you, Leon. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.